HD1 East St. Louis. 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return. It's time for the First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show.
Presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company on 101 ESPN.
Extended post-game coverage. You're home for the Blues 101 ESPN. It's the fourth period. Alex Ferrario, Jordan Deacon with you after a 3-2 Blues winner over the Seattle Kraken. And wouldn't you know it, a game where the Blues win again. They've won 3 of their last 4 coming out of the Olympic break. And all Blues fans are saying, don't trade anyone. They'll go on a run and make the playoffs. Honestly, I don't believe they're going to make the playoffs. I don't believe Doug Armstrong would allow that. But the fact that the Seattle Kraken are holding on to that bottom wild card spot should actually tell you that, you know what, anything can happen. I think San Jose is a good team. They got a lot of offense. They got goaltending problems. I don't think the Kings are that good. I don't think the Predators are good. I don't think the Jets are good. I don't think the Chicago's good. I don't think Calgary's good. So the best teams fighting for the wild card spots are San Jose, who have an alien at the forward position, but have also given up 207 goals. Let me put that into context for you. The Blues have given up 210 goals. They score a lot, but they give up a lot. Or the Seattle Kraken that the Blues have outscored 8-3 in the last 2 games that they have played against each other. So Pacific Division is wild to me. I said this in pregame. Not one team, if you took the Pacific Division teams and put them in the Eastern Conference, not one team would be a playoff team. That's how bad the Pacific Division has been. But the Blues get the job done, and I think that's important, especially in a game like this, where the news broke of Colton Parayko being traded, and everyone's waiting on pins and needles to find out if he agrees to being traded to the Buffalo Sabres. But the Blues go out and they showcase they play really well for 2.5 periods. Second period was a little iffy, but their goaltender stood on his head, came up with some big saves. We'll get to our Ted Drews 3 takeaways in a bit. Let's first, though, have our soundbite of the night, because I believe Chris Kerber and Joe Vitale are standing by with Dylan Holloway.
The soundbite of the night is presented by Rocket Convenience Stores. Fuel your car and your daily cravings at Rocket Convenience Stores.
All right, Alex, thank you very much. Hey, let's check in with Dylan Holloway. He had the second goal of the game for the Blues, 12th of the year. Cam Fowler, Braden Shen assisting. And, boy, Dylan, that was such a solid second period. You guys dominated on that faceoff dot 9-2 in that second period as well. What worked really well for you guys in that middle 20 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were playing well. I mean, you touched on it. When you win draws, you start with the puck, and that kind of builds momentum. So that's always huge. Our centers did a great job. And, yeah, I thought we were building our game nice, kind of managing it, managing lines, getting pucks deep, going to work. So that's kind of our identity, and that's what we try and stick to.
Hey, Dylan, obviously a big week, a lot of noise around this team. What's it like right now in that locker room with the deadline approaching here up on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody hears the rumors, hears the noise around it. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like, it's tough on guys mentally, but I think it's definitely a time for us to, come together, play for each other. And, nobody knows what's going to happen, but at the end of the day, it's been a pleasure playing with everybody. I think everybody feels we have a special group. And, yeah, we're just trying to focus one game at a time, one day at a time. And it's definitely a weird time, but I think, as a group, we'll get through it.
I saw you this morning, and I asked you, how's that body feeling now that you're getting kind of back into a game routine now? How's that going, and where do you see yourself at?
Yeah, body definitely feels good. You kind of touched on it this morning. It's definitely different just skating versus getting into game shape. So it's nice to get a few games under my belt. I feel pretty good. Ankle's feeling much better. So, yeah, I'm just excited to keep on playing.
Hey, listen, we appreciate you giving us a few minutes. Congratulations on the win here, and we will see you on the plane.
Yeah, thanks, Curbs. Thanks, John. See you guys.
Thanks,
you got it. That is Dylan Holloway there, who picks up his 12th goal of the season, his 22nd point. And he had the second goal of the game for the Blues. The Blues win 3-2. Let's get you back to Alex.
It's time for tonight's 3 takeaways, presented by Ted Drew's Frozen Custard, a St. Louis tradition for over 95 years. Unmatched quality, unforgettable taste.
Curbs, Joey, thanks very much. Great stuff there with Dylan Holloway, and you heard him talking about everything that's weighing, and I think that's my first takeaway in this one. This is not an easy game to play at this time of the year. I mean, I was watching a clip. Philip Deneau, who was a centerman for the Montreal Canadiens, was a center for the LA Kings earlier this season, was traded in the middle of the season. He and his wife sat down and did a podcast, and they were talking about how stressful this time of the year is, and he was detailing how when he had been traded, I forget which team it was he said, but he had been traded on the trade deadline in the past, and his wife had just had a kid a month ago. And so imagine having a wife with a 1-month-old where you're comfortable where you're at. You got your family, you got your friends, your mom group that you're around now that you're a brand new mom, and you have to uproot your life and just leave for 2 months, and you're away from your significant other. There's a human element to trade deadline. We like the transactions as fans, and I'm guilty of this. I find it fascinating. But you forget the player perspective. And I'm not going to go big picture on that. I'm just going to tie it into what the Blues did tonight. Seattle essentially had been told by their general manager, look, nobody's going to get moved unless we get blown away by an offer. So kind of basically telling their team, this is the roster you have, try and make the playoffs with it. The Blues have not been given that. I played the audio in pregame earlier today. Elliot Friedman reporting on NHL Network that Doug Armstrong met with his core of players and said, look, we're all big boys. You're going to hear your names brought up, and there's a chance we come to you and ask you to waive your no-trade clause. That is a much different feel. So all of these guys are on pins and needles, wondering if they're going to be here, wondering if the guys around them are going to be here, now trying to stay invested in a hockey game. And I know your response is it's their job, they're paid to. There's a human element to it, and it was an impressive game that they played because I thought that Schwartz goal that went in, I said this might not go well for the Blues tonight, and they instead pushed their way back into it. Their best players showed up, including their goaltender, and the Blues came away with the victory. Second takeaway, Joel Hofer. Look, we can talk about a rebuild, a retool, whatever they're going to call this if they sell pieces off. You're already ahead of the game if you have a goaltender that can make the difference in a hockey game. Now, some of this comes down to your defense, but I'd argue that the Blues are already without, in my opinion, their best defenseman in Colton Parayko, and they're still performing in front of Joel Hofer. But when I look at teams that have gone through rebuilds, and I'm going to set aside the New York Rangers because they're an entity of their own because they've got one of the best goalies in the game, and they have screwed up the rebuild twice. But when you think of Chicago, when you think of Edmonton, when you think of, I'm trying to think of some other, Ottawa, as they went through theirs for the longest time, Calgary, as they've gone through theirs, all of these teams that went into rebuilds, they got the dynamic players, Matthew Tkachuk, Johnny Gaudreau, on the Edmonton Oilers side, you get the dynamic players of Taylor Hall and Nugent Hopkins and Jordan Eberle. You get these pieces. But to win, you got to have the goaltender. Or you go out there and you just get a Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and they just change the game. But look where Edmonton's at still with no goaltender. Where I'm getting at is Joel Hofer has shown more than capable of being a number one goalie this season. And if the Blues decide to start investing in more younger players and go to a different core, you are ahead of the game, in my opinion, because you have a goalie who's in the same age bracket as those other players who has shown the ability to win at the NHL level. And I thought Joel Hofer was awesome tonight, just like he was in the first game back when they played against the Seattle Kraken, and just like he was Sunday night against the Minnesota Wild. And then the third takeaway for me has to be Robert Thomas. It's 2 games Robert Thomas has played in. That's 2 games with 2 points in each of them. He was 63% from the faceoff tonight, helped the penalty kill go 0 for 4 as he played nearly 2 minutes shorthanded and also played 17 total minutes in the game. I think there's a lot of fans that saw the rumors over these last couple of days and said, you can't trade Robert Thomas. I understand it. I'm with you. I don't know how you can move on from a Robert Thomas and expect to compete. You can't. I mean, that's the answer. You trade Robert Thomas, you're going young, and you're going to be bad for 3 years. If this is the Robert Thomas, and this was the Robert Thomas we saw at the Four Nations break last year where he dominated the National Hockey League, I think this version of Robert Thomas can raise the level of your hockey team. Health has been the biggest issue, and he hasn't been healthy. I am fascinated to see what happens because I would imagine teams are going to circle back with Doug Armstrong before Friday at 2 o'clock to see if the price lowers. I don't expect the price to lower. Does somebody pony up to where Doug Armstrong and Alex Steen say, we have to take this deal? And then in what position does that put this Blues team? But Robert Thomas, this version, on only 2 games we're seeing, is the same version I saw of him in the Four Nations post-play last season. It brought everyone else around them's game to the next level. No coincidence that in 2 games, Braden Shen has picked up, I think it's 4 or 5 points right now, playing on a line with Robert Thomas. You've got Logan Mailloux, who has scored 2 goals with Robert Thomas being out there. Your penalty kill has been good. Your face-off numbers have been good. Defensively, you've been very good. That's what happens. And that's why I think it's so hard for a lot of people to understand why the Blues would potentially move on from a Robert Thomas. So those are my Ted Drew's 3 takeaways. As always, we want yours. 314-399-9646. Also, our Air Comfort Service text line. You could jump in over there or our YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL. Let's come back and hear from Braden Shen, and then we'll have our final look before we close it down here on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN.
Welcome back to the First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show.
Presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company on 101 ESPN.
Final time tonight here on our extended postgame coverage, the 4th period on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN. You know, one guy I didn't even mention in our Ted Drew's 3 takeaways, Logan Mailloux is awesome right now. Like, it's so funny how people are quick to react to a young player. And I mean, look, Mailloux was bad early on this season. He'd even tell you that. He was legitimately one of the worst defensemen in the National Hockey League. He had to be sent down. But the moment people see that, it's, lost trade. You know, Logan Mailloux, since the return from the Olympics, has doubled the amount of goals that Zach Bolduc has scored since the Olympic break. I mean, Logan Mailloux is more and more confident in any scenario. Tonight, he played over 20 minutes, which is the third straight game. He played 2.5 minutes on the penalty kill. If you would have told me the first month of the season that Logan Mailloux in March is playing over 2 minutes on the penalty kill, I'd say you gave up 3 power play goals, because that's like he was a liability there. You went 4 for 4 on that penalty kill, including 6 on 4 where Falk was in the box. So you had to play Mailloux, Fowler, and Parayko on the penalty kill, and they've been perfect. But if the end of this season, if anything matters, it's going to be the confidence of your younger guys, specifically a guy like Logan Mailloux, and boy, is he gaining that right now for the Blues. We don't have the audio from Jim Montgomery out in Seattle, so we're going to give you the next best thing. We're going to hear from the captain, Braden Shen, and once we hear the coach's post-game presser.
It's time to hear from the head coach, Jim Montgomery, presented by Fisher Window and Door Store, offering quality American-made Marvin windows and doors. Visit their showrooms in Brentwood or East Alton, Illinois.
You guys road warriors now, 2 in a row there?
I don't know say that, but we're playing better hockey. Making a few more plays with the puck, defending better. Like I said, we got to keep this going and keep building and playing for one another.
Mailloux got that first goal. What are you seeing out of him lately?
Obviously, confidence does a lot to a player. Get rewarded with a few goals, and obviously when they start seeing the ice differently or making different plays. He's a guy that has lots of skill and talent, the full package, and as you get more opportunity, more minutes, and you always have to take advantage of it, and right now he is.
I know the last stretch of the record hasn't been great, but 10 games now, you had 3+ goals in 9 of the 10. Just, do you feel like the offense is uptick a little bit?
Yeah. I think definitely. I think we're, like I said, it's not an easy league to score in, but we're making more plays. We're defending harder. Probably having a little bit more poise with the puck. Maybe at sometimes trying too much, but at the end of the day, guys are getting rewarded with goals. And I even thought before the break, there's some games where we obviously could have won and we didn't. But I think we're definitely playing better hockey as a team as of late.
So much swirling around the team right now. Are you happy with the way guys are coming to work and getting the job?
Yeah, these days aren't easy. We obviously saw what was put out today, and you have to deal with morning skate and preparation for the game, and it's an uneasy time of year for everyone. But at the end of the day, guys have decisions to make on their own, and they have that right. And but I don't need to comment really any further on someone else.
It's time to take a look back at tonight's game with the final look.
Driven by Pure Performance. Only stop for all your aftermarket vehicle needs.
You didn't hear kind of what Shen said at the end there. He said, I don't need to comment on anything else. And, JR is doing his job. He asked the question of potential of trades and how you handle this, and the players doing their job as well and saying, look, this is every player's individual decision, and that's where you're at right now. And I feel like that's where we have to wrap up this final look, because right now the game result feels secondary to what can take place between now and Friday. I don't think this changes anything in terms of the direction Doug Armstrong and Alex Steen are pulling this team. I don't think 3 wins in 4 games is going to make them say, let's not take these guys off the trade board. I still think the direction that they're going is shifting to a younger group of players. And the conversation with guys is, are you in or are you out? And most guys aren't in for a retool. Most guys aren't willing to go through the next 3 to 4 years before you're competitive again. And that's Falk and Shen and Binnington and Parayko and Thomas and Kyrou. They're in the prime or on the back end of their career. And you don't want to wait 3 more years to where you're potentially not even in the game to try and win another Stanley Cup. And the Blues are honest with them. I think the players are going to be honest with themselves, and I'd expect a majority of guys that played tonight not to be on this team by Friday. And if it doesn't take place on Friday, then Doug Armstrong is doing his job and keeping the price high, and nobody matches it, then they're not going to get the player. That's a smart play by the general manager. But I don't believe this team is going to look the same next season. It might look the same after Friday. You might see a couple of pieces gone. The direction is shifting for the Blues, and they're trying to find the happy medium of what players fit and what players don't. A little update for you. Jeremy Rutherford tweeting this out. Parayko did come to the game tonight. He was seen walking out of the locker room afterwards, but to JR's knowledge, no official decision has been made on waiving his no-trade clause to Buffalo. The Blues are staying in Seattle tonight. They fly to San Jose tomorrow, and they're scheduled to be off. My guess, and this is a total speculation by me, my guess is you'll have an answer on this tomorrow by Parayko. And I think from there, once that decision is made, more wheeling and dealing takes place. I saw a couple of reports tonight had the Blues. There were Blues scouts in the Devils game. There were Blues scouts at the Islanders game. These guys are spread out right now around the National Hockey League because when you think of the assets that the Blues have, not only is it Parayko and Thomas, but they've got Kyrou, you've got Shen, you've got Falk, you've got Binnington, you've got Pius Suter, you've got Oscar Sundqvist. You've got a lot of pieces that I would imagine teams are going to want. The question is, are those players going to want to leave? And is Doug Armstrong getting the return he deems reasonable? Because if either one of those things don't take place, not going to make any trades, and it's going to be a quiet deadline by Friday. I don't anticipate that. I anticipate more noise by then, so we'll react to it come Friday when we have not only BK and Ferrario, but we are going to have we are going to have a episode post-deadline of the Last Minute Blues podcast, myself and Donnie Fandango, because JR is on the road. And then on top of that, we're possibly going to have a reaction show to the deadline prior to pregame on Friday with Curbs and Joey, and then we'll be having puck drop between the Blues and Sharks Saturday night at 9 o'clock with an 8 o'clock extended pregame that begins here on 101 ESPN. So that is going to close it down for us tonight. Have a great day today on this Thursday as we wrap up a 9 o'clock puck drop. Appreciate you all hanging around with us a little bit longer. Huge shout out to Jordan Deacon, who has done a phenomenal job tonight, as she always does. And once again, I'm Alex Ferrario. Hope everyone has a great rest of their evening and day. We'll talk to you in about 11 hours for BK and Ferrario right here on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN.
Thanks for listening to the First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show.
Presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company on 101 ESPN.
You know what?